G'day everyone, it's Angelo Ramora here. I'm your favorite Australian and the real estate dingo bringing you another vlog. And today I'm talking about this. My biggest property management nightmare ever. Let's get it started. Okay guys, so check this out. Today I'm going to talk to you about a few things. First of all, I'm going to talk to you about the absolute nightmare that this particular tenant put us through. Then I'll touch on, some of the things that we did wrong, in my opinion, and something that you should never do. And then also some of the things that we did right, and how to deal with such a nightmare scenario like this ended up being, unfortunately. But first of all, let me tell you some of the things that this absolutely disgusting a tenant did, okay? And this was many moons ago when we just started our journey in real estate. So we were still exposed to tenants, as in me as the owner of the company would be the one that would take calls and go to the front doorstep to try and calm tenants down and just talk to them. And of course, not having that gap and just exposing myself as the owner of the company gave them even more ammunition. But anyway, moving on. So what this particular tenant did. Some of the things included with constantly complaining about repairs. Once repairs were scheduled and conducted, the repairs were never done to this tenant's satisfaction. So we would literally get daily phone calls about certain repairs on that property. So we were just running around like headless chickens trying to satisfy this tenant and making sure that, they've got no more repairs, even though a lot of them were imaginary, a lot of them weren't realistic, and it was just a clear, she clearly wanted to go out of her way to make our lives as miserable as possible. I honestly think there was some kind of there was more personal than anything else for whatever reason. There was obviously some kind of jealousy on those lines for me and Dominique when we first started our journey, of course. So she just went out of her way to make our lives absolute hell. A few other things that happened. We sent contractors on site multiple times. And the feedback that we got from, I think it was around 3 contractors, that this tenant would like to reveal herself to them. Yes, that's no word of lie. We actually had 3 contractors testify in court that she was constantly taking her clothes off when they were there doing maintenance work, right? Another thing that happened was an exterior light exploded. Keyword here is exterior light. She called the fire brigade and she went to the hospital, complained about carbon monoxide poisoning, but in the fire report, the fire marshal or whoever it was that went on site, they reported that was an exterior light, so we had to prove that in court. A few other things. This particular tenant called our broker, complained to our broker. So we had a lot of issues. I'm not going to say issues with that broker, but we just started this relationship. We just started our property management company. So that was tough trying to explain to him what's going on. Complained to the division of real estate that started an investigation on our company because of this particular tenant. We also had the board of realtors knocking on our door because of this particular tenant. This tenant somehow managed to get a hold of the landlord that owned that property, reached out to him via phone, via email, via letter, reached out to his wife. She even got a hold of his children. So these are the extreme lengths that this tenant went through to make our life absolute misery. And I'm not even going to talk about the online reviews, calling our employees, continuing to post crap for the next 2 or 3 years. It was just an absolute nightmare, an absolute disaster. I don't want anyone to go through what we went through. So where we went wrong, guys, is we allowed this tenant to move into the property at her request and her husband's request. Husband, by the way, there's a husband in the picture too. Before we actually fully finished all the little bits and pieces of the renovations, okay? So that's where we made a mistake. You should never rent a property to anyone if there's still a few little loose ends that you need to button up. Why? Because you don't want any of this happening. It just gives them more power to prove a point in court saying that the property was not renovated to their standard. If you are going to move someone into the property before it's fully renovated, I suggest you have some kind of clause in that lease agreement indicating all of the things that still need to be repaired and what's going to be repaired, and that the tenant signs an as-is lease agreement. So that's the mistake that we made. Where we were very, very, very diligent, and I guess what kind of got us out of this mess, because this could have lasted for a very long time, is on the advice of our attorney, we kept a very, very, very detailed list of absolutely everything that was going on. So whenever the tenant called, what time, what they said, any text message, any email, we were recording all of this. We took things to extreme lengths that we even recorded the things that she was saying when we went to visit in person. Oh, I'm happy with you guys. The property's in great condition. You guys are doing such a great job. Of course, these were all lies, but we recorded all of these things. Of course, we kept a very itemized list of all of the instances that were occurring too. Another thing that we, in my opinion, did very well is we caught the tenant, the nightmare tenant, the tenant from hell, on a technicality. And that technicality was that they were a few days late paying the rent. And in Ohio, we're very fortunate that it's a very landlord-friendly state. So if you don't pay the rent, the landlord does not have to accept late payment. They can file for an eviction. So we filed for an eviction. Thank God we did. We went to court. And what tended to happen is we just ended up settling out of court. We didn't go for the full-blown eviction. And we got the terms that we wanted. We had enough information there that we could have filed for an eviction, went for cause, second cause, and all of that fun stuff. But there's no point, guys. I think I said it in a prior video. Just move on, let it go. The quicker you can move on, let that negative energy go, and just focus on the positive things that happen on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, guys, look, that's the tenant from hell. That's my property management nightmare story. I've had others, but that one tops them all. It was when I first started my journey, first started my company, my turnkey company and my property management company. So hey, I'd love to hear from you. Have you had any other instances? Have you had any instances like mine? I'd love to hear your story. I remember copping a little bit of slack from a post from someone that commented before about us potentially looking for a technicality in a lease to get a tenant out. I can tell you right now, I've done it before and I'll do it again. I've got no problems finding any technicality. I've got no problems putting whatever I need to put in the lease to get tenants out like that. I mean, whenever we can bend the rules, whenever we can look for any technicality in the lease, I will go out of my way to find that technicality to get nightmare tenants out of the property, because it costs my investors money, it costs us money, it costs us time. And by the way, we did a background check on this tenant. We somehow missed to do it before we put them in the property. They've got a previous history and experience of suing the government, suing the city, suing the state, trying to scam people out of money. So they're a professional scammer. Anyway, that's it. That's my little rant for you. Guys, I'd love to hear from you. Please comment below. I'd love to hear. So that's it. I'm Angelo Ramora. I'm your favorite Australian and the real estate dingo. I'll catch you in the next vlog.